Harem shows are sort of like toxic blowfish. Common sense would typically dictate that you should never consume these things, but people do anyway. It is possible to eat toxic blowfish, also known as fugu, but only when it is prepared in a way that creatively and specifically avoids all of the inherent dangers of consuming this creature. What I'm trying to say is, making a harem show is an interesting decision, because it's a genre that is plagued by so much toxic filth by default. It is possible to make a good harem show even in spite of this, but it requires a very careful hand, a strong sense of creative direction, and an excellent understanding for how to navigate around the typical pitfalls. I felt that this show was going in the right direction in the first episode, as it drew attention away from the shallow nature of its characters by filling that space with over-the-top comedy. But that wasn't as much the case in this second episode, and so this facade started to crumble, revealing just your typical pile of sludge. What is actually the intended appeal of a harem show? Is it for the viewer to self-insert into the male lead? Is there really that high of a demand for such an experience? We're 2 episodes into this show, and the girls still don't have even a shred of personality. They really do only exist to fawn over the main guy, and I really struggle to interpret this in any other way than complete disinterest. The OP rolls around for the first time, and it spends almost all of its time on showing how the girls compete with each other to always one-up one another for main dude's affection, and this just pisses me off. It is just annoying to watch. And this same tone is then carried over into the rest of the episode. The 2 main girls just try to get ahead of the other, and it isn't the least bit interesting, and the comedy was far less compelling this time around. I do think the production values are compelling in a lot of ways. I like how the characters are rendered and drawn. Tsun Girl especially has a nice design, and she has many lovely expressions. But every time she obsessively pursues the main guy, my interest in her weakens, and since this happens basically every single second, I am now left more or less hating her guts. And don't even get me started with the other one, she didn't have any positive qualities in the first place. Also, what in the actual crap is going on with this scene? Is this meant to be comedic? Am I supposed to laugh here? This is among the dumbest and most obnoxious things I've seen in anime in a long ass time, and that is saying something. This just looks hideous and completely embarrassing. Our trio wants to have their first kiss and stuff, and at one point, main guy proposes the most needlessly complicated plan imaginable. This I get is meant to be some sort of a joke, but it totally misses the mark for me. This is just plain stupid and not the fun kind. It doesn't work out in the end anyway, and they then decide to just kiss each other, all 3 of them at the same time. This has to be the least romantic first kiss ever. Well done, great success. And I guess that's another fair point, this isn't actually a romance show. Nobody is interested in engaging in any romance. The girls don't want main dude's loving affection, they just want the status of being his girlfriend. They just crave the status of being the one held in the highest regard, as if this is just a competition with prize money on the line, rather than emotional attachment. And I get that it is silly of me to even try to scrutinize this in a harem show of all things, but there are harem shows that nail all of these things. Or well, at least there's one. Whatever, I guess I just don't get it. This episode did very little other than to just piss me off and make me sigh at my screen. This puts me in an annoying predicament, because this show is for whatever reason rated quite highly on my anime list. This makes me hesitant to put it down, because I don't want to risk missing out on high-profile shows. But yeah. I think I'll give this one more episode and see if I'll end up gouging my eyes out or not. It looks like a lolly is entering the mix now, and I'm nothing but anxious about this. Using pretty character designs only to have them chase after some loser like a zombie is such a damn waste. You might as well just flush your design down the toilet, at least you won't be disgraced as much then.